All right, looks like we are live. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. I'm probably going to play, I don't know, stream maybe 35, 45 minutes. We'll see. We'll see how we're feeling a little bit. I just wanted to get in front of a console again. It's been a hot minute since I got a chance to sit down and play some games, and I was thinking, what is a mindless game to get into? And there is no game more mindless than Diablo. So we're going to dive in and just have some fun and kill some monsters and just talk about some stuff that's been going on in my life and give you guys some thoughts on the state of play and just kind of like a stream of conscious video gamey thing. We'll see how it all works out. What I need you guys to do, if you like this content, is stick around. Leave a comment back. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you don't like. I want to hear from you. Most of my videos are, oh my god, I'm gonna die. Most of my videos are uploaded eventually on YouTube. So I know that I'm like looking at the numbers to see kind of like what the vlog numbers are. And they get me moderately good views from my channel, anywhere from, I don't know, 75 to 100 views over the course of time. So not bad, could be better. So I gotta imagine some of you guys are out there watching it. So tell me what you think about it. So that's what I need you guys to do. Appreciate that. So I was busy last week for my buddy Kevin. We went to the Bourbon Trail. That is in Louisville. Well, I don't know if it's only in Louisville, Kentucky, but that's where we went. And we actually started in a small area called Bardstown, and then we kind of branched off from there. And it was a dude's trip. When it was all said and done, there were 7 of us hanging out at an Airbnb, relaxing together. And it was really, really, really cool experience. If you have never gone to Bardstown or to Louisville or to anywhere on the Bourbon Trail, and you are an adult who thinks you might find that fascinating, I highly recommend you go and check it out. It was a lot of fun. The tours themselves, they're actually pretty cool. Most of them will actually take you right through the actual equipment right there on the line, which is actually kind of funny that they're so like almost open kimono with it. A lot of the buildings we went to weren't locked, which I thought was kind of odd. A lot of the places that we like tested things were just out in the open. So I know that alcohol is obviously a very potent spirit, and it will eventually like kill off everything around it. But what I found so interesting was just how open they were about it. So we're walking right by the vats where they make stuff. And a couple of the tastings, Bardstown Bourbon, which became my favorite for a couple different reasons. They let you just taste everything like right there. He's like, hey, go ahead and just stick your finger in the vat and try it out and see what you think about it. And here is some of the high wine. And here is just like this very, very open experience. I kind of felt like in my head and thinking back to when my wife was in Frito-Lay, how much more controlled that was. And like walking through the plant, like you needed to wear a hairnet and, you know, don't touch anything. And it was very, very like controlled. Bourbon dudes, unless it's like a Kentucky thing and they're just good old boys and they just don't care, they just kind of let you walk around, which we did. And it was fascinating. Sorry, I didn't drink. I got to drink my electrolytes. Go out to eat every night, go to the really some of the nicest food places like I've ever been. Very like elegant bars that overlook the city or overlook part of the distillery or whatever. And it was just really cool. So I know that really has nothing to do with video games, but I wanted to just briefly talk about that because it was such a fascinating experience. So I got back last night. I really wanted to get on and stream. But after multiple delays at Spirit Airlines and getting home late, and we have some guests coming into town, looking forward to seeing them and getting the home ready, I just didn't have it in me. So I figured I'd come on tonight and kind of catch up. And boy, did I miss a lot of stuff. I did a standalone video on this, but I wanted to talk about it in a little bit more depth. I missed the big PlayStation outage of 2025. Ooh. And it's interesting because, you know, I didn't bring my Portal. I wanted to be social with my friends who I haven't seen in a very long time. So I wanted to kind of hang out and chat with them. So I figured I'm not going to bring my console. I'm just going to take it easy. I'm just going to lay low and, not bring any games. I mean, I did bring my tablet, played a ton of Hearthstone, which was a ton of fun at night. I was doing a lot of drawing at night and kind of just relaxing and, doing my traditional thing there. But no formal consoles, which I guess worked out because when PlayStation went down, that meant my portal wouldn't have worked. I assume the cloud streaming service wouldn't work. Basically, like PlayStation just like died. And let's see if we can find this world boss. How do I find the world boss? Is it over here? So it worked out well because not really worked out well. I know a lot of people are frustrated, but it basically like died off. So I'm reading social media and people are losing their minds. People are saying like death to PlayStation and, how dare they do this to us? And, it's so frustrating. Nothing works. Can't play any games. And of course, the timing was like the worst it could possibly be because for many of us who are really, really excited, the Monster Hunter beta was live and people were really trying to jam out on the Monster Hunter beta. And, that's a big deal. I think Monster Hunter is probably, I know it's my most anticipated game. I can't find this world boss, whatever. I know it is my most anticipated game of this year, and you will see me play a lot of it when it launches here in just a couple weeks. But, after, really kind of hearing some of the feedback and some of the changes that they want to make, weapon balancing and stuff, obviously some of the performance wasn't very good on the PlayStation 5 Pro. This seemed to be kind of like maybe the fix to a lot of that. And I know that some of the changes weren't going to make it into the beta, but if you were on PlayStation, you didn't get to experience any of it. So imagine everybody basically losing their mind because a timed beta is not available and everybody wants to play and they can't. And I get it. I would be livid too. So of course, when gamers feel like they have been done a disservice, they typically lash out and complain. And, Sony is the worst company ever. And how dare they? And, I sold my child because... I needed money to buy internet to play the beta. Like you hear the sob stories that are just, they don't make any sense. People just getting agitated about everything. People just generally sad. I took time off work and, I only get to play PlayStation once a year and this was the day and how dare they? And of course the memes come out and the Xbox come out and the Nintendogs come out and everybody's piling on. So, of course, in typical fashion, the good old Sony goes completely dark. They don't even say anything. They don't even announce it. They don't talk about it. It just is. And people are wondering like, what the hell, right? So after like 20 hours or so, I think, is when Sony finally made like an announcement that's like, hey, we know it doesn't work. Like we're working on it. And I believe the service was restored around the 25-hour mark. I could be incorrect. It seemed like the services were coming up slowly for some. You got to imagine everybody and their mother is now spamming the site, right? Trying to get on as fast as they can, wanting to play. And of course, the servers just aren't made for that kind of like, instant like snap of whatever. So I get it. But it seems like at least from what I could tell online, the complaining started to drop off around that time. So people seem to be happy and playing again. Of course, the Monster Hunter beta comes and goes. Good guy Capcom. I mean, got to be proud of these guys. I've always been a Capcom fan, and I used to say that Arcane was my favorite game studio ever. But I really got to think it's Capcom lately, just for the quality of their games. But they did release a statement and said, hey, we know a lot of you Sony folk did not get a chance to play. And as a result, we are going to actually extend the beta for the next cycle, which is in a couple days here. I will be checking it out. My friends Chris and Brittany will be here with their daughters. I don't know if I'm going to stream it live because I might just be kind of hanging out with them, but I will have a video on it next week with my impressions. But they said, hey, look, we're going to give you guys an extra day. You're going to get a whole extra day to play for everyone to kind of make up for that. And then Sony, and Sony might actually have been first, but then Sony came out and said, hey, you know what? We are actually going to give everybody 5 free days of the PlayStation service. So at worst, you lost a day and gained back 4 free days because you lost a day. So they give you 5 days total, which they didn't have to do. And thinking back to some of the other major outages, I don't remember outside of the big PlayStation outlet where they were down for like, I don't know, seemingly months, when Sony was just not in a good place at the time, right? I don't recall ever getting like freebies like that. So I'll take it. I mean, for me, I wasn't able to play anyway, and then I come home and I have 4 free days. Like, okay, I'm not going to say no to that. I think the situation was handled about the best it could have been, with the exception, I think Sony needed to be a little more transparent earlier on. I think that would have gone a long way to quell some of the concern. And, you know, as somebody in management, I can tell you that, you know, opinions on rumors spread like wildfire. And you have to get in front of and manage the message. And I don't think they did a very good job of that early on. I think they probably knew almost instantly that things were not going well. I've got to imagine they knew almost instantly back at Sony headquarters, hey, this isn't just a little glitch in the matrix. This is a category 5. Uh-oh, we're going to have to get, you know, the really expensive people on the phone. We're going to have to get tech support out here like yesterday to help us fix the problem. And I got to feel like Sony knew that. And the fact that they didn't say anything over it is a little odd to me. I think they could have done a better job, like I said. But the fact that there was damage control, that you're giving people freebies, you're extending Capcom just going out of their way. And maybe Capcom had a little bit of push from Sony. I know they're major partners together. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Sony called them and said, hey, you need to fix this, or you need to help us fix this. I don't really know. But either way, I think the gamers win ultimately. And the interesting byproduct of it all, though, and the thing I wanted to talk about here, the interesting byproduct was just how many people suddenly swore off digital. And suddenly digital is now the worst thing ever. And how dare they? And it created this kind of like almost little, I don't know, I don't even know if it's even going to take off, but Target then has a physical sale, and it almost created like this little renaissance of people wanting to get digital again, you know? I'm not really sure. It was kind of funny how that worked out. Can I open this guy's chest? Yeah, I'll just open it. The guy's standing there talking to me. I just walk around. I'm like, can I open the chest? I need treasure. It's kind of funny. So, yeah, I don't know how long that'll last, but, you know, I have been a massive proponent of digital. Not being digital. I've been a massive proponent of physical. And talking about how, to me, important physical media is, and how much, you know, I would prefer to own my games. And as somebody who has collector editions, and as somebody who is very, very invested in preserving things and having the, you know, having a man cave that like I play in, and going back and playing Dreamcast games and enjoying like retro gaming before retro gaming was a thing. I've always been a fan of having the media. I don't want to not have it. So I'll be curious. I'm going to guess most gamers have a short memory. They're most likely going to forget about all this, and they're going to go right back to digital because it's convenient and easy. But I'd like to think that maybe there's a couple people who realize now that in a situation like this, when the servers are down and your content is behind the server wall that you can't access, and you have to do some sort of authentication that you can't get in, you know, some sort of authentication where you can't connect to the server or you can't do whatever. I'd like to believe somewhere that people have realized, hey, maybe this isn't for me. So I hope so. If maybe just like one person, right? Just one person realizes this and convinces themselves that they shouldn't be going into a purely digital environment, then maybe all this was worth it in a weird way. You know what I mean? I don't really know. But either way, it's done now. And, you know, I'm just glad that the system was restored and we're able to play games online. And, you know, like I said, gamers are finicky bunch. They will eventually kind of like, back off and say, okay, yeah, they're happy again. And I haven't seen really anything bad. Which leads me to the state of play. Now, the state of play is coming out tomorrow, and it's going to be a unique day for me. As I said, our friends are coming into town, and we're actually going to be heading out to the park. So we are going to be doing the world famous Moonlight Magic at Disney, which I'm so thrilled for. But as a result, I am not going to be able to stay at home and basically like stream as I would normally do and have like an instant reaction for you guys. So expect that probably at some point the day after. But all I can tell you is I will be watching, most likely in the car, because I don't want to miss everything. I want to know what's going on. I'm very excited. I know they are not going to bring up the state of play. They're not going to bring up this, of course not. They're not going to say, hey, we had an outage. Like, it never happened. It won't be mentioned. State of play, obviously, pre-recorded. Anyway, it was probably done weeks ago as they put together trailers and other artifacts of the games they're going to present. But I think it's a good time for them to release a state of play, because you kind of take an L like that, and it's like a good way to retaliate. You know what I mean? I think it's a good way to kind of push back and say, hey, yeah, we're still here. As far as announcements go, what can we expect to see from the state of play? I don't know. There's a lot of games that I think were teased before that may make their way back. What I really hope they talk about, though, obviously it's their show. I think what Sony World Boss soon spawning in Dry Steppes. I am in the Dry Steppes. Now let's look for this thing. If we could find this while we're talking here for a minute. There's the whole thing, Dry Steppes. I don't understand this map at all. What I'd like them to talk about is more PlayStation Pro support. I would say, as far as consoles are concerned, as far as sales are concerned, I feel like the PlayStation Pro didn't like blow up the way they wanted to. I have nothing to base that on. Absolutely nothing to go off of that, other than I feel like, it was just, it seemed to come and go. You had the one percenters who, got into it right away, who wanted to, have the latest and greatest tech. Obviously, Digital Foundry, as big as they are, and as many PlayStation videos as they've released, they've almost kind of done a disservice to the PlayStation 5 Pro, because if nothing else, they've kind of highlighted like some of the problems with it, and games that just don't run as well as they should, and kind of some pieces of the game that are like not stellar, right? I believe I have a level. I just noticed that I need to actually level up here in a second. So it's kind of funny, like, people say, oh, obviously Digital Foundry, they must be PlayStation shills because, all they're doing is doing PlayStation content. I'm like, if I was Sony, I might be like, hey guys, cool off of that PlayStation content. You're releasing stuff and showing all the issues we have with our rendering processes, and our technology isn't where we need it to be. So to say all that, I would really like a state of play to be focused on some of the specifics, I'd like there to be like a PlayStation 5 like Pro like section, like a whole, like, here's 5 minutes of games. I don't think you need a Mark Cerny to come back and like talk about it. That seems to be maybe a little too dry for most people. But I would love to see hey man, appreciate the support. I would love to see that, right? And I don't know if we're going to get that. I think what we're going to probably get is just the boilerplate stuff. But I can dream. I mean, like I said, that is my wish list. It's like a 5-minute section. Now we're going to talk about PlayStation 5 Pro enhancements, and then tell us what you're going to do. And I think they need to continue to rebrand the message of, hey, like, it's your favorite games that are just going to be even better than like they were before. And you're going to find things that, and you're going to have a higher frame rate if you have a higher frame rate TV, and you're going to have that option. And, highlight games like Stellar Blade, which ran so well on PlayStation Pro. highlight the enhancements of like a game like Alan Wake or you know, Harry Potter or something that like, okay, this could be better and here's why. And I know that messaging has been done. I just don't think it's been done well, because I can't tell you the number of times I do PlayStation 5 Pro videos and I still get stuff from people who ask me like, what does this even look like, or what is this doing? And I think the disservice and what Sony really needs to do is they need to basically say, hey, look, if you are watching this on your cell phone, stop, and instead go watch it on a TV, because here's why. And I think too many people are looking at it on their phones and they're saying, it's good enough. Like this stream right now, I am uploading it at 1080 60. It probably looks fine to most people, because you're watching it most likely on your cell phone, and you really can't tell a big difference between like a 1080 and a 4K signal. Go watch this on your TV, and then go watch somebody else who's got a 4K Diablo gameplay. And then you're going to start noticing things. The blades of grass aren't going to be as polished as they should be. You're going to notice that there's a little bit more blur in some of the text on the screen, and that is exactly because 4K is better. But you don't see that, and Sony has not done a good job of explaining like, hey, this is a scaling thing, and yes, we can trick you on small little computer generated graphics on a small screen, but when you go to a big screen, well, things look a little different, and here's why. Yes, I know that is verbose. I'm seeing it. Yes, I agree with you. I know that is verbose for a State of Play. State of Play is usually just about games, but I think they need to reinvest in that message a little bit better. Maybe through gameplay. Maybe you show a side-by-side. Here's a new game coming out. Here's what it looks like on PlayStation. Here's what it looks like on PlayStation 5 Pro. I don't know. I don't know how they need to do that, but I think they have a great technology. It's just not very well understood. As far as games go on State of Play, though, what would I like to see? I mean, obviously, the unicorn in the room, the elephant in the room, the unicorn, whatever. We want a remaster of Bloodborne. I don't think we're ever going to get it. I know there's some other games that they've teased in the past. I probably think we're due for something with Wolverine. I feel like Wolverine is one that, you know, we haven't had that giant, like, we haven't had that game to look for. I think like if Wolverine is coming out this year, I don't know if they announced the release date or not. I mean, not a date, but like a block of time. I don't remember if they did, and you know, they don't mean anything anyway. The games come and go as they want. But if Wolverine is something that they think they can release this year, like towards like holiday, they probably should just throw it out there like, hey, we're working on this really cool game and I think you're gonna like it. A couple weeks ago, and I don't really comment on rumors or speculation too much here unless it's like a really, really solid one. A couple weeks ago, there was a purported leak from Insomniac showing off Wolverine gameplay. I don't know if it's true or not. It is, if it is, most likely it's what you're going to see at the State of Play tomorrow. It looked like that caliber of footage. That's what leads me to believe that Wolverine is probably going to be shown off for that exact reason, because the footage looked like something that somebody scraped from a gameplay trailer. You know, it was very cinematically shot. It wasn't like a guy sitting at his desk, like a developer doing a test bed, or you know, where they like just kind of play for whatever, like to just flex the game. It was more along the lines of like very cinematically paced, like the way the camera turned, the way the combat happened. And if that is real, that game looks sick, and I cannot wait. I think anything Insomniac does at this point is going to be amazing. So I don't think there's any fear of like them not releasing something fantastic. I say this as somebody who has not yet even played Spider-Man. Believe it or not, I still have not played Spider-Man 2. I know it's PlayStation 5 enhanced, and I will eventually get to it. I just haven't. And I know when Monster Hunter comes out, I'm going to spend all my free time doing that anyway. So it probably doesn't even matter because I'm going to be so obsessed over doing that. And that's fine. But who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, I gotta say that, you know, I feel like Sony could be in a really good place this year. And you know, PlayStation 5 Pro is only going to gain traction, I think, even though, like I said, I think they could do better at it. I think they have a really strong lineup of games that are coming, and right now Microsoft is pretty much dead in the water. I don't see Microsoft recovering at all. I think that the era of Phil, I've said this before, I think the era of Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond has been highly, highly, highly overplayed. I don't think Game Pass was the answer to everyone's problems. I know the sales have increased in Game Pass. I know that. But, and that's all they care about, is the bottom line. But in talking with people, there's no hype for it. Everybody I know is a Sony person. They talk about Sony. When people who don't have consoles get into consoles, my friend Paul, who made me that really cool Samus figure that I have upstairs. He's a carpenter. He built me this really, really cool like Samus helmet, right? He's into PlayStation. Paul is a 50-plus-year-old man who has never played a console in his life, and he got a PlayStation. Like, that's what I mean. Like, that is the marketing appeal right now of Sony. He's playing Helldivers 2, by the way, and hearing him talk about it is fascinating. And I love Paul. He's a great guy. But, you know, like, that's what I mean. Like, in this world, like, that is the kind of people who are playing PlayStation. You don't hear him talking about, like, Sony. You don't hear him talking, or like Nintendo. You don't hear him talking about Xbox. It's not on his radar. What's on his radar is Sony, and that's awesome. And that's why I mean, like, they're killing it. They're continuing to kill it. Microsoft dead in the water. Microsoft's going to supposedly release. Oh, I know they're going to release Forza for PS5. I assume it's only a matter of time before Gears and Halo follow suit. Maybe they release a best of, and you get some of their older, like, kind of classic type games that were locked behind the paywall. You know, the Microsoft paywall. We already know Sea of Thieves came out. Like, they're continuing to just, like, basically dump their entire catalog on Sony. So that's not going to stop anytime soon. We know Indiana Jones is coming out soon. Or maybe it did already. I don't remember. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. That's one I want to play, actually. But you get my point. Like, there's no hype there anymore. So Sony's in a phenomenal place. Microsoft, their only real competition, has kind of given up. You know, the Nintendo Switch is a different animal altogether. So I think if you look at this state of play, and this isn't to hype it up like this is the last, you know, this is the turning point of the console war. Like, I think a long time ago we used to have a console war. We obviously don't anymore. But, you know, I think that you kind of look at what was the console wars before, and I think this would have been more of a pivotal moment. But I still feel this is important for Nintendo. I still feel like this is important right now for Microsoft. This is what happens when I stream. I feel like this is still important for PlayStation because it's an opportunity for them to expand a pretty dominant lead and to set up a fascinating year. We haven't seen anything yet. This will kind of set the pace for PlayStation's 2025 campaign. The games that come out here, you know, and the experiences that we can potentially look forward to is only going to continue to feed the machine. And I'm excited for all of that. And, you know, as a guy who is fully committed to Sony at this point, a guy who doesn't even touch his Xbox outside of, like, the racing games with my racing wheel, like, I have zero interest to go back and play any Xbox game right now. There's nothing that they could say or do that would get me back into it. And this is coming from a guy who eats, breathes, lives, sleeps, and dies Halo. I basically put that experience on the shelf. You know, I don't know. I don't see them making any major strides in anything they're doing. So for that reason, I think the state of play absolutely does matter. I think it's a good opportunity and a good experience for Microsoft PlayStation to kind of, like, stick it to Microsoft even more, if it's honestly even possible. I don't even know. I hope we get something big to tease for next year or the year after. I think that would be smart for them. you know, kind of the one more thing just to kind of like lead us off with something of, you know, whatever's next. Now, I know that in the past, people have kind of criticized Sony because they release games a little too fast. And I think a perfect example is Naughty Dog's, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Naughty Dog Factions, right? Where like, you know, they released the game and they basically said, hey, yeah, like this is going to be the thing. This is going to be the thing that like, you know, is the future of live service. And obviously that game really didn't work out, did it? But yeah, they teased it for I don't know how long, right? 2 years, 3 years. It closed out the Game Award show. Like Jeff Keighley was all into it. It just didn't really like work out. So Sony needs to be careful, I think, about releasing stuff too fast. But at the same time, like I think it's okay to set a little bit of a precedent here. So you can tell us what's coming. You know, tease us a little bit, right? Let us know what's coming down the pipe and let us get excited about it. Because, I mean, I can tell you, like, I am the #1 Monster Hunter World salesman. Like, I can't tell you the number of people that bought Monster Hunter because of me. And I can't tell you the number of people who I've basically told, like, you will buy Monster Hunter Wilds and you will play it with me. So word of mouth matters an awful lot right now. And we are in a social world. And I think Sony has an opportunity to kind of capitalize on that. Because nobody's talking about Microsoft. They're dead. They're absolutely dead. So Sony owns the market. And until Nintendo gets around to talking about their console, which I believe is mid-April, it really doesn't matter. Until then, Microsoft's not going to announce anything. This is Sony's like momentum. It's like basically everybody's going to be quiet in the game world. There's nothing on the horizon. And then Sony's like, oh, we got something. And it's like, oh, what is it? So that's kind of where we're at. I think that's the state of play. And I'm optimistic that Sony will continue to deliver experiences. I hope they learn their lesson from like Concord and all that kind of stuff that like people don't want to game. We don't want games that are overly woke for the sake of being woke. We want a good story. We want games that matter. And if you think of like what legacy PlayStation is, when you think of like what PlayStation is known for, like those games that really matter, what are those games? They're like your Uncharted, they're your God of Wars, they're your kind of third-person action-adventure games that have a good story, that, you know, have characters and have meaningful quests, and it wasn't just live service for the sake of being live service. And I think they learned their lesson with that. I mean, obviously it was the, you know, it was the remnants of what Jim Ryan did. And that's over with now. I think those days are over, and I think this is an opportunity for Sony to put that behind them and to move on. Now, I say that because we know somewhere out there, we think at least, boy, this guy's so annoying. Marathon from Bungie is out there, and Bungie is a Sony company. So what have they been up to? Why haven't we seen anything from them in a while? I mean, is it time? Is that game been shelved? I don't know. You know, if you haven't already seen it, I did a very long video discussing my experience with almost working for Bungie. Most likely it would have been laid off, right? But my experience of almost working with Bungie and talking about how, you know, they were a very interesting company, just to say the least. You know, they did a lot to change the course of what Naughty Dog's game would be, which ultimately led to it being canceled. They obviously released Destiny, which was a good live service game. I think it ran its course. You have, you know, you kind of have to prove from their standpoint, like they have to kind of prove their worth, don't they? Maybe not. But, you know, if Marathon is the next big thing and basically universally gamers like turn their back on a live service experience, then maybe that's not the best course of action, but that's all they have to show. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure how that works out, honestly. So I'll be curious to see if Bungie shows up tomorrow in some capacity. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But I'm excited for it either way. So wrapping up, I'm gonna finish off this boss, and then I'm gonna take a break here. This guy gonna die? He doesn't even want to fight me. Look at this guy. He's just done. He's not interested in me. Oh, okay. He just flew away. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to fight me. I think that, you know, it's good to be back. I'm excited for Monster Hunter. That's my #1 thing. I don't know if there's anything Sony could say at this point that would not get me like just amped and just more excited than I already am, because my fever pitch for Monster Hunter is like at an all-time high, and I'm so excited to play the beta this weekend, and I'm so excited for what that game is going to offer and the experiences and the over 1,000 hours I played of World and over the 1,500 hours I played of Rise. I cannot wait to just lose myself in another new adventure and, you know, farm monsters and maybe convince some of you or some of my friends to jump in and play with me. You know, that'd be great. We'll see if that actually works out. I don't know. But I'm just excited for that. And I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if there's anything else that Sony could say in their state of play that would get me more excited for that. But I think it's a good opportunity for them to kind of, you know, set the stage. And we'll see where that ends up. See where Sony ends up going. So that's what I want to say about that. The last thing I wanted to talk about, which I didn't get a chance to, since I'm just kind of like clearing out my content log in my head. I'm not gonna beat this guy. I'm just gonna leave. No one's here to help me. I'm gonna run out of potions. I'm just gonna get treasure and call it. What I wanted to say was you know, got a really interesting time there with the Nintendo event. I was really hyped up for it. You know, they've been doing this launch event for what Nintendo is going to be. They were offering, it was a raffle for an opportunity to go to New York to check out the new Nintendo console and be the first among, you know, this kind of world event to experience what the new Nintendo would look like. I found out it's only like a 2-hour window. It's a very small experience. And then that's it. So I think in my head, I was hoping for like a Game Pass, or I'm sorry, not a Game Pass, Xbox Fan Fest. And I know those days are probably done. Obviously, they got rid of Money Rumble and they got rid of everybody there who actually like cared about it. But you know, I think about like what that event was, and I was really excited for it every year. And my wife and I used to love it, and it was, you know, a select group of fans got to go and got treated like kings and got to play the newest stuff. And I get it, in a more inclusive world, that doesn't really matter as much anymore. And the new family-friendly Xbox doesn't care about that. They want, you know, play is for everyone, and obviously they're not going to like cordon off 150 people and say, hey, you're going to get like, you know, you're going to get a lifetime supply of Game Pass, and like we're going to basically open up the vault for you. I get it. They're probably not doing that anymore. I didn't necessarily expect Nintendo to do that either, but I was hoping Nintendo... Oh, I got smoked. I was hoping that Nintendo would have done something that was more than just kind of a standard run-of-the-mill event. And it seems like they're not doing that. And that's why I wasn't that interested and invested in it. And I know the people who, you know, like for me, I was actually I was talking about traveling there. Like I was like, I'm going to go to New York. I'm going to try to get an event to this thing. I'm going to go sit and get a ticket and go hang out and like enjoy this event. And it didn't really excite me. So didn't excite me at all. But yeah. I think I've talked to the Wanderer. Who's this Wanderer guy? Hi, guy. Hi, Wanderer. Be careful. Okay, I'll fend him off. All right, this will be my last thing, then I'm done. Yeah, I'd like, you know, Nintendo sometimes does those tours too. It's been a while. They used to come to the Florida Mall, where they would set up like a little play area. And I did some videos on that last year. They were giving out swag, and they had like a claw machine and that kind of stuff. That's probably what I expect, honestly, from this New York event. Kind of more of the same. But I felt like it didn't really necessarily warrant like a trip there. I still do plan, if it makes applicable sense, based on what the pre-order situation looks like, I would like to go to the New York store for the launch of the Switch 2 and to get my console from the Nintendo store. I think that would be a really, really fun experience if I could pull that off. We'll see. If not, that's okay. But that was such a great time. And I feel like console launches, the magic of console launches kind of lost some of their luster when, you know, we got away from that like human element, like going to GameStop for the launch of Nintendo Smash Brothers, or, you know, waiting in line for the Xbox 360 at Walmart. I mean, yeah, the world has changed. Everything's online now, right? You don't have to like, you know, you don't have to go do that stuff anymore. Like, you can just stay at home and let like technology work for you, and, you know, get the console and it'll ship to you and that sort of thing. But I feel like that element, you know, you try to hold, us old timers, you know, I'm in my 40s now. Us old timers try to hold on to that when we can. And, you know, enjoy those moments because they are few and far between. And I don't know if the Nintendo launch will be that, but I'd like to believe that's the closest thing we can get. So I'll take what I can get and be like, yeah, you know, it's something. Like, I'll take it. But we'll see. We'll see if the launch actually makes sense when the time comes. Obviously, we're not going to find out about that for a while. I think what we're going to probably end up getting is, you know, a release date in April. And, you know, I'm sure, you know, we're going to jump right onto Amazon, as we always do, and get ready for it and kind of hold the line and say, okay, we're ready for, you know, we're ready for what comes our way, and try to be one of the first to get it. And then, you know, tell everybody about it, and then probably try to pre-order more later for our friends, as we typically do. But yeah, if I could get out there, I think that'd be really, really cool. We'll have to see. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap up tonight. I just, like I said, I wanted to get ahead of everything and just kind of talk some news for a while with you guys, and kind of catch up on what was, you know, my thoughts on some of the bigger stuff that's happened in the last couple of weeks. I did some content before of random gameplay. It didn't seem to really draw a lot of attention. But I'm thinking if I could do these kind of, I don't know if it'll be weekly, but a more regular cadence of these game kind of just dumps of like topics I didn't get a chance to talk about, and kind of bundle them up in a video. I think I'd like to do that. I think that content would be fun for me to do. And based on the views, we'll see if it was actually true. But that'll wrap up today's live stream. For those of you who joined and asked some questions in the chat, I appreciate it. And for those of you who are watching later on YouTube, I appreciate it. And yeah, that's it. So until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys on the other side. All right. Bye-bye.